everyone, my name is MC Lux, and today on 23rd January 2022, we're going to talk about various political news, this Ukraine and Russian border issue, and I'm going to talk about the causes, the possible contemplation and consequences and outcomes of this. And I've heard that many people have different assumptions about this issue. Some people are saying that Russia actually provoked this conflict situation with Ukraine in order to weaken the relationship between the U.S. and its allies. But I think that, because of there is this preparation for this and for many other different parts of the antagonist relationship between Russia and Ukraine, there's going to be different kind of reason for this. So first of all, before we talk about this profoundly and comprehensively, we have to realize and we have to know a brief history of the Ukraine and Russia relationship. So everything started and the tensions escalated between the two countries in late 2013 when actually, over a landmark political and trade deal with the European Union, when the then pro-Russian Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych suspended the talks with the European Union because of the, reportedly constant pressure from Moscow. And this actually caused various demonstrations and objections in Kiev that finally erupted into a violence. So then in 2014, in March 2014, Russia annexed Crimea under pretext and on the implication as if they were actually, protecting the interests of the Russian-speaking citizens. Then, Ukraine's eastern region, Donbas, was also, under a constant pressure from Russia, and finally, by the Russian-backed separatists in the country, and the situation was very, very serious. And Ukraine also refers to this as temporarily occupied territories in Donbas. And finally, when in October just now, Ukraine firstly deployed a Turkish-made combat drone in the Donbas territories in order to strike a position from the Russian-based separatists. This actually angered Russia, and some people would think that this part of the antagonist relationship between two countries was the reason of nowadays conflict situation. So, after realizing so many different kind of things, I want to tell you that, from so many different facts, this is not my childish opinion, but I think that we're at the edge of the World War III, and also these different, facts tell me that this big preparation was the reason why Russia is trying to gain more influence, power, and recuperate its strength in the world area and international relations, and also try to maybe even resume Soviet Union. So now I will tell you some facts which will actually, make you more, cognizant of these issues. So, for example, the large-scale military exercise between Belarus and Russia, very near Ukraine border, that will give opportunity Russia to actually conduct an operational rehearse the combat missile drones. This is also there's an indicator that Russia has been preparing for this. Also, for example, the cyber attacks on Ukrainian government websites and networks, and also how Russia is just starting to evacuate its embassy in Kiev. It's reported, although Russia denies it, but actually the fact we're seeing is reality. And also not only towards this kind of preparations, but also how, for example, there's a cyber attacks in Norway, and also the drone that was spotted in Sweden, near the nuclear plants. And this incident happened a day after Sweden's military started patrolling in the main town in the Baltic island of Gotland. Amid the tensions between NATO and Russia, and also the recent deployment of Russian landing craft on the Baltic. And so this is indicator that Russia has been preparing for something, but for what? For actually a much stronger influence in international relations, and what will actually help them to gain that influence. And this is going to be the resumption of the Soviet Union. Another argument that is demonstrating this is how Russia is trying to lead international organizations with also help from China, and they're expanding the member states of this organization all the way from India to Pakistan. Iran has also joined this organization led by Russia and China, and all the different ex-Soviet Union states in Central Asia have been a part of this international organization. And actually China and Russia are calling on the member countries of this organization to try to, in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, to try to form a mechanism to avert sanctions imposed by the West, and also try to conceptualize a very great, ways to try to, to have to play a bigger role as counterweight to the Western influence in the region. Just now you see the basic aim. So the only way that Russia will be able to do this will try to resume its Soviet Union in terms of invading more territories and gaining its influence, which is now trying to do nowadays. So also the ways they're trying to do is, for example, in Kazakhstan, they will try to create a domestic chaos in a country to try to gain the external pressure they actually want to have in countries. And this is like very serious indicator that gaining some type of supporters from ex-Soviet Union states and some other countries that have very kind of not antagonist relationship and non-friendly relationship with the West. This is their plan actually. But what I want to remind to Russia is that they are really contravailing the international law, not because of the fact that they want to gain influence. Every country's basic aim is to try to be much powerful and to have their own role in international relations. But the way they're trying to do is very different. And what Russia is actually forgetting is that, making other countries dependent on their energy, oil, and actually, using this as an intimidating to Ukraine and Germany, for example, that it will cut their energy, and because they're dependent on their on the oil. This is very, very unlawful and unjust. And also, if they think that they will gain more territories and they will have like much larger invaded countries, this does not actually emphasize their greater role in international politics. No, if you have larger population, that does not mean you're actually strong, because that invaded countries need governance. That needs economic development and diplomacy, and even nowadays, pandemically, you need to govern the situation. So it's not so easy for you to just have that territory on your own. So, and this actually emphasizes, for example, there are many small countries in the European Union, for example, Hungary and other kind of countries. They're actually smaller than Russia, but their economic development and their political situation and ideology and everything is so strong that this emphasizes the territory is not a guarantee for your strength. Singapore, let's say, small but strong. And what I had to tell Russia is that Russia cannot also try to order other people, other countries, and other nations imperially what they will do. Russia should not decide what will Georgia and Ukraine do, if they will join NATO or not. It's our decision, and other countries cannot use their suppression of our individual rights, because we are individuals. We are not Russian people, and we do not have any contact with the Russian government. We are Georgian people and they are Ukrainians. And this is our opinion and our right. Because if we want to join NATO, it's about us and it's about the Western relationship. So Russia cannot order us and cannot even order NATO. What will NATO do with expanding its organization? Would Russia be like actually, kind of a big fun, let's say, or glad if the West also told the same to hinder the expansion of the international organizations led by Russia? They would say, what are you telling me? So what should the Western people do right now? Is this fair that some kind of country is ordering you to hinder expansion of your organization? This is completely unfair. So what I'm going to say is that nowadays we're actually living in some type of way, I know maybe bipolar or much later world. And this is like actually emphasizing that we need this diplomacy in order to try to avoid this catastrophe. Because if Russia is actually promoting the expansion of its territories as the main key source of their strength, then the United States is saying that the only way for actually remaining and recuperating your strength will be democracy, which, to be sincere, is also losing nowadays. And I have other videos telling you about how it's actually happening, and you can watch it. So what I actually see is that in order to try to remain peace, and if Russia is trying to gain its strength by resuming Soviet Union with based on the arguments I actually told you, we have to realize that Western countries should try to use diplomacy, real democracy, real law and justice, and should take care of their domestic affairs in order to try to deal with the new world era preparation of the resumption of the Soviet Union. So this is very important to remember. And once again, I tell you, Russia, that you cannot order Georgia and you cannot tell Ukraine about our future political decisions and decision making. This is our foreign policy, and we are able to have our foreign policy. And you cannot hinder other countries to follow a neutralism movement. This is very serious because many third world countries do not really have now the kind of authorization and the right to follow that neutralism movement. So we need neutralism, or we will try to choose our sides. It's dependent on us, and not any country can actually tell us what we'll do. So thank you for watching this video. I wish you peace, health during this pandemic, and hope you liked my video. You can comment down what you think about this topic, and